I don't know where you can get any positivity from the Mets right now. And as we talk about the Yankee plan, it seems to be a real discussion about the Met plan. And you got to trust these guys. And you got to let it play out. And look, yes, we all understand that it's December 11th or now the 12th. Happy anniversary, honey. I understand that. As it's actually 12:12 on the clock as well. A little weird. But yes, you have to see this whole thing play out. And we'll have to see what it looks like at the end. No doubt. Of course. Of course. But what you are hearing and what you are seeing and what they have done to this team already, I'm sorry. I don't think you can blame any talking head, any pundit, any sports talk radio host, any fan for being extremely confused and extremely frustrated with what is going on with the Mets. And I don't want to hear you got to let it play out. And he's shaping the team in his own image. And he's doing what he believes is right. And that's why he was brought here. And the team hasn't won in the last handful of years. And they won 83 games last year. And all of that may be true. All of that may be true. But what you're hearing still, that they're not interested in signing pitchers to long-term deals, none of the free agency market for starting pitching, which we knew kind of going in. That's the thing. That they're not interested in that, or they won't go above and beyond to go get Bellinger. That's still the thought, that Bellinger's asking for $7, and we don't know if the Mets going to go there. Unlikely that they do. Unlikely the Yankees do either, so we'll see what the market is. And maybe if he falls back to them, they'll go get a Bellinger. You know what, though? Bellinger doesn't solve the issues of this team. As you just saw Suarez, the next best closer on the market, go to the Atlanta Braves for 3 years. Why wasn't there urgency to improve this bullpen more than Devin Williams? You're looking at Rodgers? He goes to Atlanta. And even if you bring in Cody Bellinger, sure, he's good defensively on the outfield. Sure, he might help you at first base as well. But he's not Pete Alonso. I'm sorry. And I know 5 years made you uncomfortable for Pete, but the next couple of years, I promise you, Cody Bellinger is not going to give you the offensive production that Pete Alonso is going to give Baltimore. And we'll get into why I think holding back on Pete or being nervous to give Pete 5 years is kind of silly. I still think that. I'm less annoyed at that than I am Diaz, but I still think it's silly. But what is the plan? You can't just sit back. I'm sorry, no matter how smart you think he is, no matter how much you've fallen in love with the owner when he came and took over for the Wilpons, or how smart you think David Stearns is, you can't just sit back and say, well, I believe in the process, I believe in the plan. There's no indication that there is any sort of going out and dramatically improving this team in any way. Now, if it happens, it happens. Great. But they're not willing to go above and beyond for anybody, right? They're not going to give more years than they want, not going to give more money than they want. Like, we'll see. You think they're going to go out and give Kyle Tucker, who hasn't really played left field, you're going to swap him and Soto? Defensively, he helps you a little bit, but he doesn't help you all that much. Right? You're still breaking even pretty much between him and Pete Alonso offensively. And what indication is there that the Mets would go out and give that contract right now? Because that's an uncomfortable contract for a lot of money in a lot of years. And even if they do that, have they dramatically improved themselves? Now that they've lost their closer? Now that they've lost their slugger? Bringing in one bat? One outfield bat? That's going to improve this team? I don't see it. I don't know how this team gets better. That's why you have Evan and multiple people talking about trading away Lindor. Because it feels like this is the offseason of break this thing apart. And I'm sorry, as a Met fan, I don't know where the enthusiasm is on when every move has to fall back to the concept of, well, it's a step back to take a step forward. How many step backs before the step forward happens? So I'm frustrated. And let me tell you this as well. Because the other kind of big thing that is out there now and has been out there really the whole offseason and since the season ended, and since everyone recognized that Skubal is going to be a free agent next year and the Tigers are either likely or at least significantly open to trading him. Why in the world the last thing the Mets should do is trade for Skubal? It makes absolutely no sense. It makes absolutely no sense to trade for Skubal now. More than ever. I wasn't ever really a huge component for it. I was never a big bring in Skubal guy because why would you trade all the assets when you could just sign him in free agency next year? That's a lot. It's going to take a haul. But now that you have broken apart this team, now that you don't have Alonso, you've just taken the bat out of, everyone keeps making the joke, you've just taken the bat out of Juan Soto's hands because there's nobody behind him. You don't show interest in really improving this rotation necessarily in free agency. You're going to have to go make trades to go do that, right? How can you do that and trade for Skubal? Are the Mets right now, as presently constituted, the greatest starting pitcher in the history of baseball, let alone just like if he is the greatest pitcher, if you were to go trade for Sandy Koufax, are you Sandy Koufax, let alone Skubal away from competing in this division, competing with the Dodgers in a significant way? You're not a Skubal away. Why would you pay the price and all the prospects to bring Skubal in here to not be good enough to win anyway? Because that's what you are right now. If they go sign Tucker and if they just go crazy out of nowhere and all of a sudden this owner goes and spends money and they do a bunch of different moves and they bring in Bellinger and Tucker and they trade for this one or whatever and suddenly it's like, well, now they're a starting pitcher away, I would be more into it. But it makes no sense with this team right now to go and trade assets for a pitcher that you're going to have to go pay next year. And he's going to hit the market. He's got the agent. He's going to hit the market. There's no question about it. He's hitting the market. And if you're worried that he's going to go to the Dodgers this year, he's still going to hit the market. And it's not like if the Dodgers want to go pay him, you're going to have to battle with the Dodgers next year anyway, no matter what team he's on. Whether he's on your team, whether he's on the Dodgers, whether he stays in Detroit. Next year's free agency, if you're in on him, so will the Dodgers be. And you'll have to compete with them then. He's going to free agency. Why would you trade assets, major assets, to bring Skubal to this team for this year when you're not good enough to win with him and then have to pay him next year anyway and still battle the Dodgers in that free agency process? It makes zero sense. Unless the Mets improve themselves dramatically and quick, trading for Skubal is a nice thought. He's the best pitcher in baseball. It makes them better. It solves their problem at the top of the rotation. But they're talking about platooning Jeff McNeil at first base with Paul Goldschmidt. They're showing interest in Marte and bringing him back. They need 2 outfielders. They need at least one more significant bullpen arm. At least. You don't know about your third baseman. Simeon can't hit at second. Alvarez, as talented as he is, has been up and down at best at catcher. You've lost Nimmo, you've lost Alonso, and you've lost the best closer in baseball. You know how much you have to do to make it even reasonable to trade for Skubal? So for me, I don't even think that's plausible. It makes no sense to me. None of it makes any sense. So you can call me a Met hater. You can say I'm harping on the negative. You got to give this guy a chance. You got to give Stearns a chance. He's building the team and the way he wants to build it. It's going to take time. It's not just for this year. It's for the next 20 years or whatever. Great. Okay. I'm open. I'm open to it. Let's see it. But you've got to really, if you're just going to sit back and tell me, wait for the plan, what's the plan exactly? Because they're showing no interest in paying for starting pitching. Unless Bellinger falls into what they deem is reasonable, because you know they won't go above reasonable. And I don't think anyone deems 7 years, which is the asking price right now for Cody Bellinger, as reasonable. Are they going to go turn around and give 8 to 10 years for Kyle Tucker? And do any of those one things make you as good as last year? And last year, you won 83 games. It's just hard to see the plan. I'm open to seeing the plan. I'm open to having it come spring training time and feeling good about this team. I just don't know how you can. And you can just sit back because, hey, it's not the Wilpons. And, hey, we brought this guy in. He built up the Milwaukee Brewers. You got to trust him. Hey, Steve Cohen has done everything else for us. Again, I don't buy into the nonsense. And I know they put out clips of me in short spurts yelling about this. Like, I don't think Steve Cohen is cheap. I don't think he has no intention of spending ever. I don't think this has all been a coup just to build a casino. I don't think David Stearns is determined to build it in some small market manner and never pay for a big-time free agent or never invest money. Like, all that narrative is all nonsense. But they're showing no indication right now of going above and beyond to bring anyone in. It's hard to envision the plan. More guys are going off the books by the day. Just lost another legitimate back end of the bullpen arm to the Atlanta Braves. You're hearing they don't want to spend money on a pitcher. Right? How much assets can you trade for one player when you're not one player away? And now the apple of everybody's eye and the next steal it from the Yankees and the next big-time free agent is Bellinger. And he's not as good as Pete Alonso, who just walked out the door. You can sit back and wait for the Met plan and not get upset and wait for it to play out. But you also got to explain to me a thought process and a plan that puts this team in a better position to win than it did last year. Because I don't see it. A better position to win in the next 4 or 5 years? Okay, I could see that. Is that how you want the Mets to operate because this core couldn't win? Did this Met franchise need a complete breakdown because they won 83 games last year? I was up for tweaking the core. I don't know if I was up to taking a flamethrower to the whole thing. And that's what it feels like is going on here. 888-808-1019. We'll get back into the football talk. We'll talk about the Yankees and the idea that they are at least listening to trade offers for Jazz Chisholm, as they've done really nothing themselves. They are firm on what they believe is a fair market value, just like the Mets on Cody Bellinger. They're not interested in free agent starting pitching either. It's a very similar offseason. The difference is the Yankees haven't lost all that much, and they won 94 games. And if you think that makes me a Yankee shill, then you just think facts are shilling. 888-808-1019. McMonagle here with you on the Fan. Quick break. We'll come back, take your calls, get into it all. We'll get into the Knicks, who tomorrow play for the right to play for a championship. The first one since 1973. I can't wait. Can't wait for Saturday against Orlando. We can get into that. What looks like a tough injury for the Islanders. Phillip Rivers could be playing this week for the Colts. The craziness of the NFL, last night's Thursday Night Football game, the Mets non-plan, the Yankees non-plan, all of it on the table as we ride all the way to 5 a.m. McMonagle here with you on the Fan. Be right back.